Dude, we have some incredibly high-resolution images of a Tesla Cybertruck prototype, including some of the suspension components.
That's right. We're getting a lot more information just based on what we're seeing. And we also have some tire information, which is really important as well.
Yes, and also Tesla, well, they didn't announce, but it kind of became public that November 30th is the date for the first release of this truck and delivery. So probably they'll be delivering these trucks next month.
Radio. And this truck is a test model.
Yes.
And it has RC written on it. Let's tell everybody what RC means.
RC means release candidate build. So this is basically kind of a jargon that software engineers use, but this is not a piece of software. Well, there's software.
Oh, there's an awful lot of software in there.
But it's metal.
Yeah.
And these images, we have to thank Dwayne Caldwell, who is a Patreon of TFL Studios. So Dwayne, thank you for supporting us. But you also sent us these really high resolution images to us. And he can be found at Dwayne, DUANEHC 65 on Instagram.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Yeah, you're awesome. These are fantastic and they're very revealing. Now,
Yes.
first of all, I got to say, as we're looking at these images, you guys are going to notice certain panels that might not fit very well, or
Oh, gosh.
maybe even some possible damage. I'm under the impression, and I'm sure Andre agrees with me, that this is a test vehicle. We've been seeing many of these bounce around off-road and getting pretty abused as they're ramping up towards production. So, yeah, if you look, there's a couple parts. Andre, point to that, where the pillar is too.
So this is the A-pillar meeting kind of the fender area, and then there's also part of the hood here. I would say those are cyber gaps.
This is the best.
Right?
Cyber gaps is awesome.
I think you coined this term just now as well. Yeah. So cyber gaps. By the way, this is a prototype, right? So we have to make it clear.
Exactly.
Many manufacturers do this, where they test prototype
They
vehicles.
beat the crap out of them and do that, right?
That's how you test them. But Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, he has made some statements recently, right?
Yeah, some inflammatory ones for some investors because he lost an awful lot of money in one particular day. Now, I'll read this. During a recent earnings call, Elon Musk went as far as to say, "We dug our own grave with the Cybertruck." That's a hell of a bold statement. And one of the reasons why is, he says, "I do want to emphasize there are enormous challenges in reaching volume production with the Cybertruck." And essentially what he's saying is, it is a very difficult truck to build. This is something we've known for a while, though.
But this was kind of his genesis, right?
Right.
Like he said the word "we dug our own grave," but it was probably "I dug our own grave," because he wanted it made out of stainless steel.
That is part of it.
He wanted it to be an exoskeleton, which means the body of the truck is also structural in many ways. Those are very difficult challenges for production.
Right. Now, one final quote, and that goes along with this. When you've got a product with a lot of new technology or any brand new vehicle program, especially one that is as different and as advanced as the Cybertruck, you will have problems proportionate to how many new things you're trying to solve at scale. So you have to think about this in terms of its production and how that'll affect numbers, and of course, the amount of time it's taken to actually develop this truck. So in that, once again, I'm going on record saying that I think that this has been an abused test vehicle, and we may have proof.
Yeah, and we need your help, guys.
Yeah.
So let's look at this picture as well.
Very carefully now.
So this is on the driver's side front, right? This is the front suspension component. And we want to focus really on this area here, upper A-arm, right? First of all, a couple things. It's a really thin metal. I don't know if you can tell.
It's stamped steel, and stamped steel does have its own inherent strength, but the way it's flexing like that certainly doesn't look natural.
And it looks bent. If you look how this is kind of moving up, right?
Yep.
And the way that this bolt basically looks to be a little bit stretched, I would say.
Now, the reason we're saying that is because we have a shot, it's not a very good one, of the opposite side, and that other shot indicates that this whole area here would be compressed as it should be, and this is basically running straight across as opposed to being kind of bent up and moving off to the side. And I think that this lends to the reason why there's also some exterior deformation.
And misalignment.
Right,
really,
exactly. Yeah. I think this thing took a really hard hit, and that's why it's like that. And it makes
let me find the other side of the
while
truck.
you're doing that. Now, once again, this is all conjecture. This is only based on what I'm seeing in this image. I don't know, maybe they designed that to look that way. However, in this one shot that we have, and we have to enhance it and use Andre's ability to quickly, taper off and enhance and brighten and do all that in seconds. While
wait,
we're
wait,
shooting
wait.
this
What
video.
seconds? What seconds?
The whole point here is that
Bam.
image, there we go, look at that.
You said seconds, right?
Yeah, just seconds it was.
So this is the passenger side.
Right. Looks a little different, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a little bit lower resolution because we're zooming in, right? On this
Major
image.
zoom in, yeah.
But this front upper A arm looks different on the passenger
Yeah,
side.
completely different. And now there's two options. There's one that maybe they're testing two different A arms at the same time, but it doesn't really make sense. Or that one is twisted and bent after getting hit super hard, and the other side is fine. That makes a little bit more sense. So I want your opinion on this, guys, because we're just spitballing here. Now let's move on to the tires, shall we?
Yeah, and before we do, also on this image,
Oh yeah, look at that.
you could see in the fender flare, it looks like to be a camera, which makes sense. Tesla's been using many cameras around their vehicles to do things like, first of all, record. So there's like theft prevention systems, accident. You can record your accidents with it. Also, blind spot monitoring.
That's
Adaptive. I
Cruise
don't want
control.
to. I hate when they call it self-driving or
It's some level
really
of
not yet self-driving, not yet full self-driving.
semi-autonomous.
Yes. So of course this truck will have cameras as well, and
Yeah.
we have pictures of the tire. Well, actually, we see tread in this image.
Yeah, this is actually a really good image, but we have awesome images of the tire itself and
the
information.
sizing of it, too.
Exactly, because this tire is actually bigger than we both thought.
Yeah.
And it is a mud and snow tire, although if you look at it, those lugs are not very big, even though the way they designed this tire makes it look really big, kind of beefy and angry.
Yes.
This is purpose-built for this vehicle. I don't know of any other vehicle that has a tire like this. As a matter of fact, there's even warnings on it, but let's do this first.
Yeah, so LT means light truck, 285, 65, R20, mud and snow, like you just mentioned. There's also some speed ratings on this tire. We converted this sizing to inches, and it's 34.6 inch diameter. And it doesn't really look humongous on the truck. Let me zoom
It's difficult
out.
to scale on this type of truck because this is something that we just don't, if it was a pickup truck that we're used to, in terms of conventional shape, yeah, it'd be easier for us to figure out.
But it is 35s.
Yeah.
So they can claim it on their marketing materials.
We got 35-inch tires. Yeah,
many,
okay.
many manufacturers do this. When you have a 34.5 or 34.6 tire,
You round up.
they round up.
Yeah,
so,
of
course. Okay, like I agree with you. This does not look like a maximum traction or mud terrain at all, but it is an all-season.
It is.
All-
You can
all-season
clearly
tire.
see sipes and all that as well, which is great for, it helps with snow and cold weather and whatnot, and ice. But we also have an image of the tire in terms of a warning about,
Yes, who can mount it and who cannot
Exactly.
mount.
Now, you won't be able to read this probably on your
By
screen.
the way, it's a Goodyear
It
tire.
is a Goodyear, and I believe this is, bespoke, but
Explosion of tire rim assembly due to improper mounting, I guess it's possible. Only specially trained persons should mount tires. And I think part of it reason is, this bead and the wheel really match really with high precision. And I've also seen something similar on a Rivian pickup truck.
Right.
Because those electric motors have so much torque and the vehicles are so heavy.
Right.
That you could actually almost spin the wheel inside the tire bead.
So you need an actual thicker surround of rubber that really bites into the rim to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, with special additional ribbing, basically.
Right. So you just don't want some guy running around with like a claw hammer trying to get in there and open it up.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because there's other Tesla tires that are not supposed to be handled by people who are not trained properly. So that makes sense in itself. This is very interesting because it's just a really cool looking tire from the outside, but it's really not like a full hardcore off-road tire. So that kind of tells you something right there.
Yeah, but sidewall protection, right? Those lugs on the side look kind of mean, like you said.
Well,
but
it's
also,
definitely like a retro future
but also
thing.
should be functional.
Maybe.
And you see this kind of shape?
Yeah, that star pattern.
the star pattern, original Cybertruck concept truck had like a hubcap, really,
Right.
that was extending over the tire.
Exactly. So maybe that accommodates that, or maybe that's just simply just to accent it and make it look cool. We don't know for sure.
And also 6 lug hubs. So in this is kind of a, I love counting lug nuts.
I know you do.
Like you know. So for example, the Rivian was kind of odd because the Rivian is also a pretty heavy vehicle. It's about just over 7,000 pounds curb weight, and they use 5 lug hubs, even though it's able to tow 11,000 pounds,
Right.
and has 835 horsepower. It works for them.
Right.
This is 6. If you look at the Chevy Silverado EV truck, it has 8 lugs,
Which is what
almost
their
like
heavy
a
duties. Yeah.
exactly.
My little car-based truck essentially has 5.
Your Santa Cruz.
Yeah, my Santa
Yes.
Cruz, which doesn't weigh anything. Now, we've been hearing that these could be weighing between 8,000 and 9,000 pounds.
Well, it depends on the configuration, of course, right? And this says low range D tire, which basically like a heavy duty pickup, 2,500-ish, same kind of rating. And those trucks can be 8,500 pounds as well,
Exactly. So,
especially diesels.
among other things, thicker sidewall.
Yeah.
That's in order to deal with that
And more
higher
plies
pressure,
usually,
too.
more layers
Exactly.
basically of the tire.
So fat tire, so to speak. So tires, suspension, and I think we should probably talk about the interior real quick.
Yeah, we have a couple of images here.
This one is very reflective. You're not able to see too much of
here's
it.
a slightly better one.
So it looks like a bespoke, spokish, weird steering wheel. That is not a yoke.
But it's a flat, squarish one.
Rectangular.
Rectangular.
Octangular. And it's an unusual thing because there's a lot of kickback and unpleasant feelings about people with the yokes and the S models and whatnot. And I get that. This is a little bit different because it's not exactly a yoke. I don't know if this is obviously going to be going into production. However, it does sort of look like it, and there is a very large screen to the right of it.
Yeah, and nothing else.
Nothing else.
I mean, probably some vents, right, along the side.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the sun visors real quick. Andre noticed.
Up here.
Yeah, you could clearly see those sun visors up there. That's very similar to, I think, the Model S that has the
Or the X.
Or the X, actually. Yeah, I think they both have it, where the sun visors actually come down and there's still glass left over because the windshield is so massive.
Yeah, and this is a massive windshield because you could see it's even outside of this frame, right? The windshield finishes up here. And so that's just a kind of an interesting, right, sun visor design.
It's unusual, especially when, if you lower the sun visor, you still have more
Also,
glass
what's
above it.
unusual is the shape of the mirrors, dude. This whole truck just looks odd. I need to see it in person, I guess.
I honestly don't think those are very good trailer mirrors, but I could be wrong. Maybe they flip out and do some amazing things. I don't know. Or maybe Tesla has some caps that you put on them to extend so you can see your trailer. Because this thing's supposed to tow a lot, right?
Yeah, well, original specs said 14,000 pounds.
Jeez Louise.
Depending on the configuration. This truck also has some wiring. This is a prototype once again, so please don't judge the wiring, right?
It's a simple assumption to say that some of this stuff will go to some telemetry information that can be plugged in when it gets to wherever it has to go. So that could be why it's hanging out there. I don't think that's sloppy wiring. I think that was put out there on purpose.
Yeah, totally, because they're, like you said, probably additional sensors that they had on this truck. And then the rear of the truck is also a little bit interesting. Let's finish up there. First of all, we can see a regular hitch.
Yep.
It looks like a 2-inch receiver. We have what looks like a 4-pin and a 7-pin connector.
I like
which
that,
is
actually.
really standard. And if this tows 10,000 pounds, or let's say even 12,000 pounds, or even 14, like they originally said, well, first of all, that would be class leading for electric pickups. But also, because this truck itself is heavy, I think it could be reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, it could actually do it. We have some testing of electric trucks
here too. Look at those.
Yeah, that's
I know
pretty
you
easy.
like that bit for the clips.
Oh yes, for the chains.
That makes Andre happy.
Chains.
Yeah.
Also, there's a interesting box underneath here.
Yeah, it looks for
like
maybe
a spoiler.
It could be for aerodynamics. Actually, might help if the hitch is there to deflect the wind. It doesn't help for your departure angle, but I don't think they care about that. I think that the aerodynamics are more important because this thing is definitely, it's just not very aerodynamic in the back. Other points, the clips that you caught here, if you look very carefully, you can see 1, 2, 3 at least. And Andre believes that might be for some sort of roof racky type thing, or even, I don't know, maybe a camper hookup of some sort in the future, which is entirely possible. So those tabs look removable.
Yeah, and also this metal is wavy, so it's probably not a final, I'm hoping, trim piece, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to see wavy metal.
No, you don't want to see wavy metal, no.
And of course, tonneau cover that could be automated, right?
I believe it is, but I don't know. This one, it kind of almost looks fixed, doesn't it? I don't know. It's hard to say because the upper section up there, maybe that box up here is integrated, for it to roll into.
Yeah. I think some of the concept videos they showed it rolling away and hiding. So I don't know if they actually can productionalize this. I know Rivian has had some issues with their roll-up covers.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the best highlights we've had so far. Also, this truck is rumored to have four-wheel steering, so potentially could have really good maneuverability.
There are some videos out there showing the four-wheel steering in action that came out over the past year.
And this is in California, right?
Yeah, so this is right off Pacific Coast Highway. And the photographer was actually in a group with a bunch of minis in a mini club.
Yeah.
And they saw this and they chased it down.
And then later on, they were driving together.
Yeah. Can you imagine a whole bunch of minis chasing after this thing down the road? I think that'd be really funny. Anyway, we want to get your impressions on this and what you think. I know there's a lot of naysayers and a lot of people who are for it. I just kind of want to get logical perspectives on what we just brought up and perhaps whether or not you've ordered one. I'm curious.
Yes, well, TFL has a reservation for one, but it doesn't seem like ours will come anytime soon.
I think 2026 at this point.
All right, thanks for joining us. Once again, like you said, if you have an early reservation, let us know.
Please.
We can, shoot some guns at it or something.
Yeah, final part. Yeah, they say it might still be bulletproof, like be able to take a 9mm.
We don't know. So.
I wouldn't recommend finding out.
No. All right, thanks for joining us. alltfl.com is where you'll find us.
See you guys.